Yo, what's up, squad? Welcome back to another episode of Walkthrough Wednesday on the channel. Today we're going to jump into Disco, my new club track which just dropped on Maxximize Records. Another track on Maxximize. Feels good to keep releasing there. They've supported me since the very beginning. Shout out to Blaster Jack, shout out to Spinning. To release a club track in these times is kind of weird, I will say that. It's really anti-Spotify, this track. It's built for the club and I built it to play my sets as like a set opener, you know. So hopefully when the club's open, people still remember this track and haven't forgot. But yeah, your support means the world to me, you guys sharing. I see the comments on YouTube. The comments on the music video are crazy. You know, bearing in mind, like, how are you going to make a music video during these times? Shout out to my boy Kenny, Jareth Sky. He made a sick video for it on short notice as well. And yeah, the support's been crazy. So I thought I'd do a walkthrough now because in a few weeks we'll be dropping the sample pack for this one. I already recorded this episode, played it back, and my voice was like this. So anyone knows why that happens within OBS, please let me know. I'm praying that this one hasn't gone the same. But if it has, I'm just going to upload it anyway because it's funny. So this is the track. Let me talk a little bit about my thought process here. I started this track before I started the rave room kind of movement and sound. I started rave room in the beginning of the first lockdown in the UK. All my shows got cancelled, so I thought this is the time to reinvent myself because I'd been thinking about it for a while. You know, I was going to Asia and I was playing like 160 BPM and stuff like that. And as a big room producer, it doesn't really fit your style, your sound. So I knew that when things went back to normal, I wanted to be in a place where I was comfortable with the stuff I was making. So now I feel more excited than ever about being in the studio with this rave room stuff. But this one I started before that. That's why the BPM is a little bit slower. But after the success of this release, I'll probably do more 132 BPM stuff. You know I said I was anti-big room in the 128 BPM sense. But in the 132, I feel like it just gives that extra energy. So yeah, never say never. But this track is all about big room, simple big room sounds with that techno kind of aspect, because techno is something I didn't respect when I was younger. I don't think anyone respects it when they're younger. That techno, I only like that big room stuff. But then as I get older, I really appreciate that, like, hard techno is like the really early big room. That's kind of where it mutated from, I believe. It's just big kick, big bass line. You know, Sandro Silva Epic is kind of that big bass line, simple pluck sound. You get kind of techno drops in the same kind of way, the same character. So this is the drop I came up with, and I instantly knew this was going to be a cool club track because I really got the power in this one. The second drop is a little bit different. Wanted to switch it up, you know. In a track like this, you've got to be creative always. I like people that have a reason to check both drops. You know, I don't want them to listen to the first one and be like, yeah, okay. You know, I want them to have something different in the second drop, especially for a live set. You know, I want DJs to play this whole track. I don't want a DJ to play the first drop and mix out. I want to give them something even better in the second drop. Something more advanced, better sound design, more energy. And this is what I came up with for the second drop. So let's jump into the drop a little bit deeper. Now, where are we going to start? We're going to start with the kick drum because I think this kick drum slaps. This is the main kick. Is a techno kick. It's quite a dull kick. In techno, it's not about the sharp attack. In a kick, it's just really about that, like, dark, filtered off, grungy vibe. So this is the kick by itself, which provided a great body. So at this point, I've got a great body, but because I'm an EDM producer, I need that big click, that big transient click. So I went for this layer, which is a dope top click. I think it's a hardstyle top click. Instantly, it's punching through the mix even more now. You can really hear that. And then I went for some like extra saucy stuff. Don't ask me why I did that. This is just one of those things where I was going through kick drums in the Cashmere pack and snare enhancers, because I knew I wanted a few more layers to really help it push through the mix. And I found this one. which is so dumb on its own, but it actually works really nice with the kicks. With that as well. So with this one, it's got a bit of that stereo like delay, so it kind of fills the kick out and it makes it sound more wide. And then this final one, builds this really sick kick. I really like this kick because it's very different. You know, you don't really hear a kick with a character like this. Then we move on to the bass line. So I found this sub loop, which is, let me just get this full loop so you can check out what it sounded like before and what I did. So when I found samples and find loops like this, I like to make them my own a little bit, even if I'm just going to rearrange it. I don't like to just drag it straight in, but this is what the original bass sounded like. But I only wanted a certain section of the loop, so I just chopped it up. I like that repetitiveness, you know. I like it to come back around again rather than drag out throughout the drop. Because this part is duplicated, right? I don't have a big long melody. I have this part duplicated and duplicated again. So I like to duplicate the bass in the same way. Another very like techno aspect, I guess. So we have this right now. So we're going to look at the processing on this. Start with the stereo imager. It's a sub bass. I wanted to really pull it more narrow in the mix so that my other elements had space. Got a lot of hi-hats and stuff going on, so I need them to have their own space. And not the tightest sidechain, quite a loose sidechain actually. Look how tight it becomes. That really transforms it. And this is the Days Before Pro Q3, so I'm using the parametric EQ2. A little boost in the high end because it has a really nice distorted layer to it, so I wanted to accentuate that even more. I wanted to bring it out in the mix so you could really hear it, and a boost in the bass and the sub. And I've probably done the same thing again here. No, this is actually, I guess, for an automation at some point throughout the track. This is the effector, which I have used. I'll show you that later on. And a final EQ is for the intro. I like to duck the sub bass out of the intro. So you've got a little bit of bass there, but there's no sub because a DJ is going to be mixing in a track probably with sub in it in the intro. So this is what we have so far in the track. And I think this is the way I did it as well. So I had this point. We've got two little kicks here, which is this kick duplicated, and I shortened it to give this kind of housey groove. Which I turned off. That's embarrassing. So this is what it did sound like. Or maybe like this would sound. But because I think this bass line, it probably clashed a little bit with it, so I just muted them. Let's get rid of those as well. And we move on to the lead itself. I think the lead is very important here. Even though it just plays in a small section in the beginning. Very powerful. Now there's only two sounds here, I believe. Yeah, I did add plucks later on. So this is what the original demo had, but I felt like it didn't have enough body, so I added some plucks. You can really hear them come through, and I think they give it the body that it needs. So we'll start with the leads themselves. Two Nexus sounds. The first one is called Get Ready. It's from EDM5 in the sequence section. Great sound. That's the main sound then. As always, if I need a little bit of a boost to the sound, I'm going to find a sound which has the same kind of characteristics. See how they just fit like a glove, right? They just fit so smoothly together. So we jump onto the processing. As you can see, I haven't sidechained the reverb or anything in this track. Not even using Arts Acoustic, so you can see how old this is. We jump on with the Camel Crusher as always. Blood Overdrive as always. Not too much on the Blood Overdrive though, because it's like a source sound. I didn't really want to like dull it out too much. The delay is quite important actually, because in this drop we have a big ass gap, right? So in this gap we have to fill it with something. We can't just let it go burp burp it needs to be tailed off, right, to enable it to sound smooth in the transition and stuff. So here is where the endless smile changes. I think this is actually what I used for my reverb on my leads back then, endless smile. So it goes up and it comes back down when the note comes to play again. The delay is crazy, by the way. So this is the delay settings. I use Fruity Delay 3. Still use that, actually. I do have H delay, but I like Fruity Delay 3. It works for me. And I believe that is just turned on at this section and turned off when the extra note comes in the next section. Just checking that I've got all the automations. See that big space opens up there. And I believe I also automated the S1 imager, so I made the reverb become even wider. If you make your leads wide, it's going to sound shit on an iPhone, right? But with the reverb, I wanted to make it like increase in wideness as well. Look how I push it right to the sides of the mix. I believe if you're going to do a track like this with a big gap between the notes, you've got to be creative in these fills. You've got to try automations. You've got to try all these different things to keep it interesting, right? So that's pretty much the lead. We will go into the pluck as well. I believe it is just an Epic pluck and a Nexus pluck as well. Oh, it's actually a lead. So the pluck and the lead are actually processed a little bit different. And this is when I came back later on in the track, a few months after actually, to finish it. So I have linked it to a sidechain there. Karma Crusher, I think it's pretty much the same. Didn't use the trash in the end. EQ wise, a little dip in the mids there to harsh frequencies I didn't want. Made this mono actually. No particular reason, I just didn't want it to like take over the spot of the main lead. It's a backup sound to make it sound more full. Doesn't need to be in the foreground of the mix. Got a transient master as well, making it quite sharp and more clicky and had more attack, but also reducing the sustain, which makes it shorter as a sound. See how short and snappy it is? I love using this on my leads and stuff. And a crazy EQ with the Pro Q3. As I said before, I came back to this months later, added those plucks because I just wasn't happy. So that is pretty much it lead-wise for the first section. I see some crazy automations and stuff. Just filling the gap. Just things to fill the gap. So in the second part of the drop, we switch things up a little bit. So I'm using a slightly different melody, which means I don't need all this crazy endless smile because the notes are more... They happen more often and more frequently, so I don't need all this crazy endless smile automation there. But the reason I did this is because with a track like this, I know you've got the drums coming in, but you want to keep it moving as much as possible. So why not add a few extra notes in there? So we'll go into the drums a little bit later. I'm more focused on the synths and stuff. I have this bass sound, which is quite a predominant feature in the second drop.